If you're on TikTok, happy Midterm Monday. Today, West Virginia, it's your turn. Today, we're going to be talking about the Republican senator from West Virginia. Her name is Shelley Capito. A little bit more about her. She is West Virginia's first elected woman as a senator, and she was originally elected in 2014 and has been in the Senate since then. She is the chairman of the Committee on Environment and Public Works, which is very interesting because environmental things is very much a Democratic topic. You do find that majority of those that are for climate change believes that climate change is real, believes that we have to make a lot of changes and utilize a lot more natural resources in order to preserve the earth, do tend to be Democrats, not Republicans. But because she is very heavily centered on these topics, and because she's from West Virginia, where there is a lot of natural resources, she does tend to do things a little bit differently than some Republicans in that space, okay? Before she went to the Senate, she did serve on West Virginia's House of Representatives for 14 years. So it seems as though West Virginia really does like her in governance. And so I wouldn't be surprised if she did end up getting this seat again. She co-sponsored the 8th most bills compared to Republicans, being that 467 of those bills that she co-sponsored were with those that were not a part of the Republican Party. It does show that she has more of a knack to work with others and be bipartisan on some level. The most shocking information that I found out about her, even though she is a Republican, is that she joined bipartisan bills, once again, 8th most of all senators. 46% of her bills were not introduced by Republicans, okay? So for a lot of, almost 50% of the bills that she decided to sign on for were put forth by either Democrats or independents. And that's something that you have to understand, is that non-Republicans doesn't just mean Democrats. It does also mean independents. There are some senators and people that represent the states in the House of Representatives that are considered independents. One of those senators, one of the well-known ones, would be Bernie Sanders. We'll come back around to him some other time. But in addition to that, she is ranked the 9th most politically left-leaning and compared to other Republicans inside the Senate. This should not be a surprise because she is in the Environmental Committee. If you are somebody that is chairing a committee like Environment that is heavily Democratic, okay, in nature, most Republicans, a lot of Republicans do not believe in climate change. All right. So just because of the topic that she tends to be in, she tends to have more bipartisan connections, more bipartisan actions, and it shows in how she votes and in the bills that she puts forth and supports inside of Congress. Now, she did support the military exercise in Venezuela. All right. She very much supported bringing the capturing of Maduro and bringing to justice Maduro and his wife. The interesting part about this is that she also said bring to justice the wife. The wife is not an elected official. She is the spouse. The fact that we decided to pack her up is problematic to me. But she did disagree with Trump's decision to halt offshore wind projects. There were 5 offshore wind projects that she was not happy that he decided to halt. As you can see, because of her stance in environment, she may tend to disagree with the president on environmentally based things. However, as I told you, she was originally elected into the Senate in 2014. She did vote no on the impeachment of Trump back in 2021, y'all. Okay. So a lot of people that talks about Trump's impeachment, they're like, what does impeachment mean? He's not going to get into office. And it's just because you don't understand the process of impeachment. Impeachment of the House in the Senate is removal. They're voting to remove. Okay, so if the Senate says, yes, let's impeach, that means you're about to get up out of here. All right. For those that maybe you haven't listened to my podcast on Nixon, Nixon was about to get tossed up out of the office. Instead, he left. All right. And that goes into the reason as to why Shelley said she did not vote for his impeachment. She said, number one, it is a very sensitive topic when you are someone in Congress that is seeking to remove an elected president who won majority of the vote for the election into office. You don't want to circumvent that process like that. But most alarmingly, she said that her reason for voting nay was because the information presented to her was not good enough. It was not good enough. She said that there was no information that was given to her that would be grounds for him to be removed from office. I would also like to remind you that there was. I want to remind you that there was. Okay, we're just going to keep it a bean. There was absolutely more than enough evidence for him to be removed from office. She didn't feel like it was, and therefore she voted nay. Me personally, if you're saying like, Tori, what are your personal thoughts about keeping her in office, X, Y, and Z? My problem is the fact that you won't get this man up out of here. Like, you don't understand where he has crossed the line to where he no longer needs to be in office. And that's where I have a problem with Miss Shelley, okay? Her bipartisanship and stuff like that is very commendable, right? Because when you're in Congress, you do need to be able to work across the lines, okay? That is something that you absolutely must be able to do. But for her to say that there's not enough information for him to be impeached, nor was there enough information for him to not be able to be on the ballot? On the ballot? Are we okay? Absolutely not. That man was committing all different types of atrocities. And I cannot get behind Miss Shelley with that. But once again, for these elected officials, their number one priority are their constituents. I do not have a vote in West Virginia. West Virginia, this is your vote. Her seat is up for re-election, okay? If she's doing great for you in the back on the home front, I understand why you would vote for her. I really do. However, she supports the overall demise of the country. And because of that, I would have to say no to Miss Shelley. Go blue instead.